Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. Yep, another yard leveling video. So this project began last year when I decided to smoke off my turf type tall fescue back there in the back that I called my test plot. That was where I had several different mixes of different fescues. But the test plot's gone now. I decided I wanted a wiffle ball field back there. And most of you know my fescue, I like to cut it tall, hence the name tall fescue, right? It's not called short fescue, it's called tall fescue. And when you cut a turf tall around 4 inches or so, and you get kids out there trying to run in it, and even adults like myself, it can be a little bit difficult to run in. Obviously, if I get up there and smoke one down the third baseline, I'm not going to get a real good bounce. And you know, if you're playing ball, you want that shortcut turf so you get a good hop, right? And with me doing a wiffle ball field, I had to change my turf type. There's absolutely no way I would ever put a warm season grass here at my house. Zoysia and Bermuda, both those can tolerate a low height of cut, but it ain't going here, no way. But I do have a shop yard slam full of Bermuda grass. That's where I'm gonna keep it at. So my choices for cool season turf was either ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass. Plus rye would be kind of difficult, but I do have an area back there this fall. We're going to plant us a little bit of rye and see if we can't keep it alive all summer next year. So my renovation process began. I brought in a lot of dirt, lots of leveling. I spent a tremendous amount of time fine grading it, meaning the initial grade, I wanted to get it as close to perfect as I can. You know, obviously I can't get it perfect, but you know, I'm a little bit anal and I'm striving for perfection or as close to it possible as I can. So that was the need for leveling. Now, I'm not one of these guys who wants to level the wiffle ball field every single spring. I just don't want to do all that much work and spend that much money on it. I'm a 1 to 2 year kind of guy, meaning I went hot and heavy really hard this first time. And next year in the spring, if I happen to have some spots that need attention, I will actually work on those spots only and not do the entire yard. So first thing I did, I picked out my mix. I am a 50-50 guy. I like 50% golf course sand, which is super duper fine. And then I also like 50% compost. The compost that I get happens to be a very finely ground compost, so that it matches up with the golf course sand really well. First thing I like to do in this type of situation is core aerate. Now I do have that one spot that's just absolutely been giving me a fit, so I actually run over it with the aerator just to really break up that hard pan, so hopefully I can get some growth there. So why core aerate? Well, really one reason and one reason alone. As I'm dragging this compost sand mixture around, I want some of that material to get down in the holes so I can physically change the soil profile. I'm already going to be leveling it with a compost sand mixture, so why not go through one extra step, create a bunch of little holes in the ground and fill those holes up with that goodness. Now the big question is, once you core aerate, do you actually remove the plugs from the area, or do you leave the plugs on the area? I think it depends on the type of equipment you're working with, and I think it depends on the height of cut that you're going with. If I were not leveling, and if I were not scattering material around to fill in the holes, and I was strictly doing a core aeration on shortcut turf that I'm real mowing, I would remove the cores. Reason for that is, real mowing, I'm not trying to mow the dirt cores, I'm trying to cut grass. You know what I'm saying? Any turf that I cut higher, like fescue, I don't even consider removing the cores. I'll let it rain, water it, that dirt will melt and go right back in the ground. On the equipment side of things, I bought a very specific piece of equipment for lawn leveling. I actually bought it to use in our athletic field maintenance division, where we go out and sand level ball fields. It allows me to cover a really big area in a really short amount of time. So this piece of equipment was bought for my business. I'm just so happening to use it out here on my bluegrass. G2 Turf Tools makes it. It's a really cool implement. It's got these little razor sharp set of discs that go on it. If you lower them, it'll actually work as a verticutter, or it also chops up and cuts up all the cores. So I did my core aeration, and then I give it about 2 or 3 days to let those cores get really nice and crispy hard and dry out really, really good, so that it wouldn't stick to the metal on this implement. And those round grinding teeth could actually chop those things up and turn them into powder. And once I had run over the yard 2 or 3 times and ground up all those cores, my compost sand mixture showed up. The day before, I cut my bluegrass down to a 1/2 inch, so it was super, super tight to the ground. The reason I cut it down short is so I get down as close to the actual grade as possible, and that implement will just glide right over that shortcut turf. Now, I'm not actually cutting into the turf. It's actually just gliding over top of it, and any low spots I might have, it's filling those in. All while putting a very thin layer, about a 1/4 inch or so, of this material over the entire area. I'll be honest with you, at first I thought I'd done screwed up. I thought I had too much material down. I was a little bit freaked out about it, to be honest with you. The entire yard was pretty much black from this mixture. I could see very, very little grass. And I know with pure sand, it's not that big of a deal because this bluegrass will pop right through it. But the compost has a little bit of structure to it, and I was a little concerned about the bluegrass popping back up. So I started watering pretty aggressively, got a lot of it worked in to where I could start to see the bluegrass popping back up. Then we got a really big thunderstorm. And I actually had a little bit of washing. It wasn't terrible, but it was just a little bit here and there. And I don't know if you remember, last year we had those 2 really bad storms after I had top dressed with peat moss. And I showed you that video where I took my mallet and took my little turf rake and I ran back over the yard, and what that did was actually redistribute that peat moss. So I took that same concept and did it again. And man, it worked like a champion. And actually, to my surprise, it actually helped stand that bluegrass up even better. So the compost mixture was really wet the first day I did it. So I came back a couple of days later and did it one more time when it was dried out, and it really evened it back out, really slicked it back down for me. Basically how I'm watering is somewhere in between a regular routine maintenance watering and how I water when I aerate and seed. When you aerate and seed, you want to water more frequently, multiple times during the day with less minutes. And during the maintenance season, the growing season, I water deep and infrequently, meaning more minutes but not as often. So there you go. That was my leveling video. I think that might be my first one. Well, we did one on the Bermuda, but that was kind of a semi-leveling video. This was a real deal leveling video, and I thought it turned out pretty good. I'm sitting here looking at the bluegrass right now, and I see a sea of green. It is really starting to flush out and really starting to thicken up. So more than likely, we're not going to look at it anymore for about a month maybe. My game plan for the wiffle ball field and opening day is around the 1st or 2nd week of May. We're going to have it looking good. I've got some major plans for that video, and I think it's going to be a really cool way to open up the wiffle ball field. And again, yes, we've picked the name of the field. I'm kind of holding off on the announcement on that because I want to get the logo and all finished up. A good friend of mine's actually making the logo for me as we speak. As soon as all that gets finished up, I promise you I'll do the video and announce the name and the person that's going to win all that lawn care stuff. So hey, there you go. I'm tickled. I cannot express to you how happy I am with the way that turned out. It is really going to look good, and I can't wait to show it to you. So hey, as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.